Good morning, everyone. We're going to begin. The House Judiciary Committee will come to order. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Chairman Briggs.
Present.
Representatives Carroll.
Designation.
Donahue. Hambidge.
Designation. Online.
Hohenstein.
Designation
Online.
Howard.
Designation online.
Kenyatta.
Designation.
Kincaid. Mays.
Designation online.
Miller.
Designation online.
Pielli.
Designation.
Rabb.
Designation.
Sanchez.
Designation online.
Schusterman.
Designation online.
Chairman Kaufman.
Here.
Representatives Bonner. Borowitz. Ecker. Ham. Kale.
Designation.
Kerwin. Clunk. Kuzma.
Designation.
Ledbetter. Rigby.
Designation.
Shalaba. Mr. Chairman, a quorum is present.
Thank you. Having a quorum, we will proceed with today's agenda. Before we get to the agenda, I would like to ask everyone to join me in honoring the 3 fallen Northern York County Regional Police officers killed in the line of duty last week. Detective Mark Baker was 53 years old. Detective Sergeant Cody Becker was 39 years old, and Detective Isaiah Emmenheiser was 43 years old. These officers were ambushed in the line of duty while serving an arrest warrant in North Codorus Township. The officers saved lives, and this committee and our Commonwealth honors their heroism and sacrifice. We pray for them and their families during this very difficult time. We also keep in our thoughts and prayers the 2 other law enforcement officers that were critically injured during the ambush and are recovering. Our Commonwealth honors these heroes and all law enforcement who risk their lives to keep our community safe. Please join me now in your seats for a moment of silence for reflection for our fallen officers. The chair recognizes Chairman Kaufman for any brief remarks you'd like to make, or would you like to defer to?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Out of respect for my York County colleagues, I would like to defer to the lady from Hanover, Representative Clunk. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Representative Clunk.
Thank you, Chairman Briggs, for that wonderful moment. For our officers from Northern, a police department that services part of my district. Police officers who always answer the call in York County. Last Wednesday was a dark day for our community, but the light of the lives of the officers and the detectives who we lost shine on. They were shining at every vigil, every prayer service, and every home that is praying for them and their families. Their light will live on in so many ways. In York County, we back the blue. We stand up and support our law enforcement, our emergency responders, and they are hurting today. So, Chairman, thank you for taking that moment to recognize them. We continue to pray for the families of Detective Sergeant Cody Becker, Detective Mark Baker, Detective Isaiah Emmenheiser, the detective who still remains and is thankfully alive, recovering, and the sheriff's deputy who is recovering as well. We pray for their continued recovery, and we thank our community for continuing to be supportive in the days to come as we pay our last respects for those gentlemen who served our community so ably. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Clunk, and we pray for you and your community. Before we get on to the agenda, just some housekeeping points. The meeting is being recorded, so people here that are members that are speaking, if you could please speak into a microphone. I believe the 2 podium mics are available, and the dais has mics. Also, for the attendees, I see some signs. You're more than welcome to hold the signs in your laps. Because of the video recordings, I just ask that you don't raise them above your head. If that turns into a problem, I'll do an amended notice on that. Just ask everyone to treat each other with respect. First on the agenda is I will call up House Bill 413. Council, please provide a brief description of the bill. And we'll follow the order as closely as possible, but I'm going to be making some addendums. Also, quick notice, new way we are doing the meetings, we are going paperless. I think we all got a QR code, and if you wanted to pre-print the agenda, the QR code is at the head table. We also are changing the way we are doing the tallies and the roll calls. So in between each vote, we will allow the secretary a little bit of time. The vote will, after the meeting, be sent much streamlining. It will be streamlinedly sent to the speaker. So less paper on that too. House Bill 413, Council, please provide a description.
Mr. Chairman, House Bill 413 is a Uniform Law Commission bill that establishes the Uniform Electronic Recordation of Custodial Interrogations Act to require law enforcement to electronically record custodial interrogations of individuals accused of committing a crime of violence, unless an exception exists. The bill requires the Attorney General to promulgate regulations and each law enforcement agency to establish its own procedures. The portion of the bill requiring the establishment of regulations takes effect immediately, and the remainder of the bill takes effect when the temporary regulations are submitted. There are no amendments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council. The question is, will the committee report the bill? Are there any comments on the bill? So this is a bill I've been introducing for a number of years, working with a lot of stakeholders, the Innocence Project. Believe that I do. I had a horrific incident in my community, 1989. There was a horrendous rape, a double rape, right next to my district office. I wasn't there. Sometimes it feels like I was, but 1989, it happened right across the street from where my office is now. And an individual, after hours and hours and hours and hours of interrogation, eventually confessed to the murder. He didn't, or the rape. He didn't commit it, but he confessed to video. But during the interrogation, it was a lot of practice that led him to thinking that he did it. DNA proved 15 years later that he had not. And something like that, it happens far too often. We all got letters and support for the need for this. But I encourage a yes vote. Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairman Briggs,
Yes.
Representatives Carroll,
Designation yes.
Donahue, Hambidge,
Designation yes.
Hohenstein,
Designation yes.
Howard,
Designation yes.
Kenyatta,
Designation yes.
Kincaid, Mays,
Designation yes.
Miller,
Designation yes.
Pielli,
Designation yes.
Rabb,
Designation yes.
Sanchez,
Designation yes.
Schusterman,
Designation yes.
Chairman Kaufman,
No.
Representatives Bonner, Borowitz, Ecker, Ham, Kale,
No by designation.
Kerwin, Clunk, Kuzma,
Designation no.
Ledbetter, Rigby,
Designation no.
Shalaba. Mr. Chairman, this bill passes a vote of 14 to 12.
Thank you, Secretary. Next on the agenda, a little bit out of order, is House Bill 1822 by myself, Council, please provide a brief description of the bill.
Mr. Chairman, House Bill 1822 by Chairman Briggs creates the Public Servant Data Privacy Act in Title 44. This act will protect the personal data of certain public servants and their families from disclosure by private data brokers and provide for civil and criminal enforcement. The bill takes effect immediately, and there's one amendment offered by the chairman.
Council, please describe the amendment.
Amendment 01726 makes a clarification that comparable positions are included and making it clear that covered persons running for public or party office must comply with all disclosure requirements to be a candidate. The amendment also makes it clear that residency challenges are unaffected by the bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council. Will the committee will be considering the amendment? Are there any questions on the amendment? Are there any negative votes on the amendment? Secretary, please call a roll on Amendment 1726. All the Democrats will be yes.
Well, let's just make all the Republicans know. Makes it
The
easy.
amendment passes a vote of 14 to 12.
Great. We will be going over House Bill 1822 as amended until a future meeting. I have a designated vote by designation request by Representative Miller that he would also be a no. So not worth pursuing that further at this point. Next on the agenda, we will be I will be calling up House Bill 706 by Representative Zimmerman. I don't see Representative Zimmerman, but if he's here, I don't see him. Council, please provide a description of House Bill 708.
Mr. Chairman, House Bill 706 by Representative Zimmerman.
706, I'm sorry.
706 gives the counties the ability to waive the application fee for honorably discharged veterans and individuals over the age of 65 when they are applying for a license to carry. The bill takes effect in 60 days, and there are no amendments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council. The question is, will the committee report the bill, House Bill 706? Are there any comments on the bill?
Borowitz.
Representative Borowitz on the bill, please go to the microphone. Thank you.
For a license to carry, which is why we need constitutional carry, which is our constitutional right. So this, obviously, I'm for this bill. I don't think that I think, what is it, over 75 don't have to pay for a fee? Is that what this does? Can anybody explain?
65.
65, okay, which is great. I mean, I'm all for that, again, but no American should have to be paying for a fee to carry, which is our constitutional right. Shall not be infringed, and it shall not be questioned. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions on the bill? Seeing none, Secretary, please call. And I'll be voting yes, but any members feel free to vote any way you'd like. Oh, sure. Of course, I'm sorry. Chairman Kaufman, before we go to
Thank you,
roll call.
Mr. Chairman. While I wholeheartedly agree with the gentlelady from Clinton County, since this scales back restrictions and allows another group of folks to have that without the fee, I'm going to support the bill. But as we move along, I wholeheartedly agree with the gentlelady's sentiment.
I mean, I brought this up. It was to help our veterans and seniors. It's pretty modest. But like I said, anyone who wants to vote no, the math isn't in their favor. She sticks to no. But I did say I would vote yes. So Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairman Briggs?
Yes.
Representatives Carroll?
Designation yes.
Donahue? Hanbidge?
Let me check my texts. Designation yes.
Howard?
Designation yes.
Kenyatta?
Designation yes.
Kincaid? Mays?
Designation yes.
Miller?
Designation yes.
Pielli?
Designation yes.
Rab?
Designation, yes.
Sanchez,
Designation, yes.
Schusterman,
Designation, yes.
Chairman Kaufman,
Yes.
Representatives Bonner, Borowitz, Ecker, Ham, Kale,
Designation, yes.
Kerwin, Clunk, Kuzma,
Designation, yes.
Ledbetter, Rigby,
Designation, yes.
Shalaba. This bill passes a vote of 26-0.
Oh. Thank you. Bill passes and will report it to the speaker. What was the count? I wasn't paying.
26-0.
Oh, 26-0, okay. Interesting. Chairman Kaufman is very convincing. Next on the agenda will be House Bill 728 by Representative Kincaid. The chair recognizes Representative Kincaid for brief remarks on her bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My bill is pretty simple. It would provide documentation for reentering citizens, folks who are leaving incarceration, photo identification card or driver's license, in consultation with the Department of Health, the Social Security Administration, and other appropriate agencies, instructs the Department of Corrections to assist in obtaining necessary documents needed for applying for a Social Security card, birth certificate, or proof of naturalization. Basically just allowing individuals who are re-entering society to be able to have the basic documentation that we all in many ways take for granted, to allow them to find housing, find employment, and get back into a place where they can be productive and contributing members of society. You know, I think that if we are really truly dedicated to addressing recidivism, then this is a common sense way to do that. Study after study has shown that the top three things that allow people to stay on the straight and narrow and not recidivate are steady employment, steady housing, and a connection with the community. This allows them to have, at the very least, steady housing and steady employment from the start. We moved this bill last session, and after it passed on the floor, I received a number of emails and messages through social media from people all across the Commonwealth who had talked about how having access to an ID, having support of family really helped them to re-enter society and stay in a place where they were not back into the cycle of recidivism. And also from people who talked about how hard it was for them to get identification, to get these kind of very basic documents, and how difficult that made their ability to get back on their feet and do the right thing and keep themselves in a place where they were not going back and committing crimes. So I think if we are really truly serious about addressing recidivism, this is a common sense thing that we can do to address that. And I know there was a concern last time that this would somehow allow undocumented immigrants to be able to vote through the automatic voter registration. But I want to be very clear that this does not give the Department of Corrections any additional authority to circumvent or go beyond the what is already established in federal law and state law in terms of what identification documents people are entitled to access. So I would encourage a yes vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Council. Anything to add?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 728 establishes the identification upon reentry program requiring the Department of Corrections to partner with the Department of Health and the Department of Transportation to assist people who are transitioning from incarceration With obtaining identification documents, the department must establish rules and regulation to implement the program and submit an annual report to the legislature. The bill takes effect in 60 days. There are no amendments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The question is, will the committee report the bill, House Bill 728? Are there any comments on the bill? Chairman Kaufman on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. While I wasn't aware of the argument that the gentlelady brought up against her own bill regarding illegal aliens, I appreciate her offering that, because that's another reason to vote no. But my concern is that I have constituents who walk in my office on a daily basis of extraordinarily modest means. They're having trouble getting their birth certificate, paying for their driver's license, their vehicle registration. You just go down the list of the services that we offer that they can barely afford. And now we are going to place into law the requirement that those same people who cannot afford it for themselves are now going to pay for it for someone who is getting out of incarceration. And that's just something that, while I understand what the gentlelady is attempting to do, that's just a conflict that I can't rectify in my mind. So I will be a no.
Thank you. Any other comments before we get to roll call? Representative Kincaid.
Chairman?
I'm sorry. Representative Rabb, you are being recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't believe we had means testing on a previous bill. So people who are wealthy, who are 65 or older, will still benefit from not having a fee for carrying a firearm. But we are allowing that to happen and losing revenue from the state. And yet the people who are coming out of prisons, who have paid their debt to society, who have many obstacles as a result of their crimes, are having barriers that we as the government has set up to make it more difficult for them to be reintegrated into society. And so if they're making 19 cents an hour on the inside, and they're paying restitution, and they're doing all those things, and they cannot be fully reintegrated to society by basic paperwork that the average person already has, that's a very different context than folks who may have struggles paying various fees, but do not have the same structural barriers that we, as the state legislature, have created. And if those barriers prevent them from being fully reintegrated into society, they're in a position where their lack of opportunities may tempt them to do the very things that we in the Judiciary committee are creating things to punish. So it seems very appropriate that my colleague from Allegheny County has put forth a bill that removes barriers that we have set up in order for them to do the things that everybody would want responsible adults to do, to get a job, to find shelter, and to give back to society without unnecessary barriers that the government has created, not themselves. And so for that reason, I strongly support this legislation.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions or comments on the bill before we go to Representative Kincaid? Seeing Representative Kincaid, and then likely a roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to clarify that this is something that the DOC is already doing, but what this bill does is codifies it and ensures that this applies to everyone. Right now, I think it's about 80% of people who are returning to society are provided these documents. What this does is ensures that we take the time and make the effort to ensure that 100% of people who are returning citizens are able to get these kind of documents. It puts people onto a playing field that allows them to succeed. And if we are not willing to put people in a position to succeed when they return from prison, then I think that we have to admit that we don't actually care about whether or not somebody commits a crime. We just enjoy punishing them. And so if we want them to succeed and not continue to commit crimes, then we should be putting people in a position to be able to get back to a place where they are contributing members of society. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Representative. Secretary, please call the roll, and you can start with all the Democrats as being yes.
And you could second all the Republicans as no.
Okay,
Thank
thank you. This bill passes a vote of 14 to 12.
Thank you. Ready? The next bill on the agenda is House Bill 837. I do have a vote by designation request by Representative Miller that he would be voting no. So I am not going to be bringing this bill up at this point. We will bring it up in the future. Next on the agenda is House Bill 109 by Representative Cephas. I see the representative is in the room. If she would like to join us at the head table to provide some brief remarks on your bill. And then we'll go to council for any additional information. Representative Cephas, you're in order.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, Chairman Briggs, Chairman Kaufman, and members of the Judiciary Committee. I'd like to thank you for your consideration of House Bill 1099, which is legislation addressing the very serious and deadly issue of a form of a ghost gun, something that plagues cities and communities throughout the Commonwealth. As you know, ghost guns are unlicensed firearms that have no serial number, cannot be traced, and in some cases can be made at home with a 3D printer. These firearms can be obtained by anyone without a background check, a criminal record, or simply someone with an access to a credit card. House Bill 1099 would make illegal for a person to manufacture, import, sell, ship, deliver, possess, transfer, or receive a firearm constructed entirely of a non-metal substance, or a firearm that does not include at least one major component constructed entirely of a metal substance, including a barrel, slide, cylinder, frame, or receiver. Pennsylvania has a wealth of laws concerning violence, but needs legislation to fix a gap in gun laws concerning this form of ghost gun. Since ghost guns are technology that are designed to run through the loopholes in existing statutes in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. There have been several recent incidents in the news involving the usage of this form of weapon, which is pushing many local governments to institute their own bans. In March 2025, Delaware County officials took steps towards passing a ban on these types of untraceable guns. In August 2024, Reading City Council passed an ordinance to ban the sale and transfer of ghost guns following similar actions by Philadelphia and York. Earlier this year at a Democratic Policy Committee hearing, Bill Fritz, a Philadelphia Assistant District Attorney and head of the District Attorney's Gun Violence Task Force, said about 575 untraceable ghost guns were recovered in the city in 2022. With an increase in the use on streets, we've seen growth by 311% from 2019 to 2022. That number, unfortunately, has most certainly risen in the last 3 years. This proliferation of ghost guns has changed how the Philadelphia Gun Violence Task Force works. As it was initially set up to prevent straw purchasing, the act of someone buying a firearm from an individual who prohibited from owning them, but now the Gun Violence Task Force is doing more work tackling issues with this form of ghost gun. That's why this legislation is so important. Whether it's a young person from Philadelphia trying to get to home from school, law enforcement members in Central PA just trying to do their jobs, or retirees in Allegheny County worried about the safety of their communities. It is our duty to make sure untraceable and undetectable firearm parts and components are unavailable to anyone who tries to possess them. It's the least we can do to protect our children, our law enforcement officers, and everyone else in our communities. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Representative. Council, any description?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, House Bill 1099 makes it unlawful to manufacture, import, sell, ship, deliver, possess, transfer, or receive a firearm constructed entirely of a non-metal substance, or a firearm that does not include at least one major component made of a metal substance, including a barrel, slide, cylinder, frame, or receiver. A violation of this section constitutes a felony of the third degree. The bill takes effect in 60 days. Mr. Chairman, the amendment that was filed has been withdrawn. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council. Question is, will the committee report the bill? Are there any comments on the bill? Representative Ledbetter, on the bill, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank the gentlelady and my colleague from Philadelphia County for allowing us the opportunity to debate this in committee today. I will clarify that I disagree with the proposed legislation, but in a spirit of mutual respect that my friend Charlie Kirk advocated for, I would like to present some thoughts that we can consider as we navigate the legislative process here within the Commonwealth. The gentlelady mentioned technology, and in my experience, the technological advances both within this industry and category is not unlike the technology that has advanced in other areas within our society. The First Amendment, which protects our freedom of speech, was originally penned with only parchment, quills, printing presses available. And yet the intent behind protecting that right continues to be applied in the digital age with Twitter and technologies that our founding fathers would never have been able to conceive. In a similar manner, that intent on the Second Amendment in protecting our right to bear arms not being infringed is not contingent upon the technology of the day when that amendment was penned, but it is my opinion, as some of my constituents and a host of other folks within this camp of advocacy for the Second Amendment, that that technology is not limiting the right, but the right transcends the technology. This bill before us, House Bill 1099, Mr. Chairman, is focused on undetectable firearms and the supposed impact that it has within our communities across the Commonwealth. Undetectable firearms, Mr. Chairman, are simply a myth. That doesn't mean that the statistics that the good lady shared are untrue, but I would like to point out that it is a requirement under the Federal Undetectable Firearms Act of 1988 that firearms must have at least 3.7 ounces of stainless steel in their construction. In regard to the 3D printing technology that the good lady alluded to, the lowers that are required in firearms within the United States are also required to be serialized. And in regard to the homicide-related offenses that the good lady presented, only about 1.8% of homemade firearms are used in homicide-related offenses. I would like my colleagues on both sides of the aisle and both chairmen to consider that according to the ATF's National Firearms Commerce and Trafficking Assessment, this is released in January of 2025, law enforcement recovered and reported 92,702 suspected privately made firearms, or what the good lady referred to as ghost guns, a term that I also reject. Of these, 1,692 were associated with homicide-related offenses. The reason these numbers are significant is that this works out to roughly 1.8%. For context, an earlier ATF summary, Mr. Chairman, reported 45,240 such recoveries, with 692 linked to homicide or attempted homicides, or about 1.5%. Why is this important? This is important because, according to the Department of Justice, privately made firearms were found at 692 homicide or attempted homicide crime scenes over a 6-year period. That means at worst, out of more than 16,000 yearly murders, which I agree are horrible, homemade guns or self-assembled firearms are used in around 115 homicides per year. That number is not zero, but it is far fewer murders than other common items that are not being legislated on today. Knives, 1,476, nearly 10 times. Hammers, or blunt objects, 397, nearly 4 times. Or fists and feet, 600 times. The point is that, Mr. Chairman, I do not believe that we will be able to legislate evil out of our society. And it is integral for a free and safe society that we be able to have the First Amendment and the freedom of speech, and that be tirelessly protected, regardless of technology, by exercising our right to bear arms. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative. Are there any additional comments or questions on the bill? Representative Bonner, you are in order to discuss the bill, House Bill 1099.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to address this particular piece of legislation. In order to save some time, I'm going to make some general comments about gun control laws that are applicable to all the bills that are before the committee today. And rather than repeat myself, I'd ask the chairman's indulgence as I just make some preliminary comments on gun control laws and where they stand in America today, and where we may be heading on this particular issue.
So if I agree to that, will you limit your remarks on the additional bills?
I do. I will.
Okay, great.
Yes.
I will agree to it, Representative. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
I will not be speaking on those other bills
You're always happy to discuss additional bills, but
in
I
recognition
do
of
appreciate
your
it.
kindness, Mr. Chairman. It's clear that our nation has struggled with gun control laws over, in particular, the past 50 years. I recognize that passions run high on gun control legislation on both sides. Those who favor the strong enforcement of the Second Amendment, and those who believe that the Second Amendment poses great safety risks to our population. I do not question the passion or the motive of either side as we attempt to debate and fashion laws that can ensure the safety of all Americans across this nation. Our nation is founded on the rule of law. Unlike many other nations which are ruled by the whims of dictators, aristocracies, and inherited titles. However, as legislators elected by the people, we take our oath to enforce the Constitution and to enforce the laws that have been adopted by a Democratic Party. We do not take an oath to what we believe is best. We do not take an oath as to what we believe should be. We do not take an oath to what we believe is expedient. And we take an oath then every time we are sworn into office to enforce and obey the Constitution of the United States of America and the United States of Pennsylvania. We are a nation then founded on the rule of law. And as such, we must enforce the law as the courts tell us and as we adopt as a legislative body. If we abandon the rule of law, we are going to find ourselves in chaos. We are going to have unchecked violence. We're going to end with dictatorship. We're going to see a complete loss of freedom. We ignore the Constitution at our great peril. The highest law in this land is the United States Constitution. All other laws must yield to it. It is the secular Bible of this nation. In 1791, the basic rights of the people were set forth in the Bill of Rights. 10 amendments were passed by our founding fathers representing the different states. And interestingly, they ranked these 10 amendments based upon their importance to this nation. The First Amendment was the protection of religion, freedom of assembly, and freedom of speech, the highest priority of our founding fathers. The Second Amendment they ranked in importance was the right to bear arms. And this ranking of the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms was critical because this was a recognition by our founding fathers as to how we achieved our independence. And we achieved our independence by our farmers taking their rifles and their handguns to the field of battle to defeat the most powerful army and navy ever in the history of this world. This was a sacrosanct memorial to those people who took up arms from their homes to fight the strongest army this world has ever seen. The Second Amendment, then, clearly is a recognition and an eternal thanks to our people for what they did to obtain the independence of this nation, the most historic nation based upon freedom that the world has ever known. We are only one of 3 nations in the world that have specifically incorporated the constitutional right to bear arms. Only one of 3 nations. Now, some 235 years later, the individual's constitutional rights to bear arms, sacred in our Constitution, sacred in our history, continues to be under attack every time a person is killed by a firearm, failing to recognize that it is the gunman and not the gun which is the cause of the attack. Much like when we have a car wreck, it is not the car, it's the driver of the car. But we fail to recognize that in this particular debate. Blaming the instrument and not the person is a failed approach to this problem. We have over 400 million guns in private homes today. We are not going to solve this problem by attempting to take those guns from our people. The problem runs much deeper. It runs much deeper within the families of this nation. It runs much deeper in the mental crisis within this nation. We are not going to solve this problem by continuing to pass gun legislation, which frankly, for the most part, is repetitive. We have gun laws on the books today that cover every single gun proposal that is before us today. 99.9% of those guns in this nation are used by law-abiding citizens, and they use them in a constitutional right, their right to bear arms in this country. I've been a prosecutor for 20 years, and I have dealt with violence, and in particular gun violence, in my career on a regular basis. Never once did I say as a prosecutor, if we only had one more gun control bill on the law, this crime would not have occurred. Never once did I say that. The gun laws are on the books. We need to enforce them. It's the criminal, though, who will not follow any law who is the problem. We have the laws on the books now. These legislative statutes being proposed today are already covered by existing law. We do not need these. They're repetitive. We continue to throw this out every time we have a significant murder in this country, and we've tragically had some in the past 30 days. These pieces of legislation, then, have either been ruled by the courts already to be unconstitutional. For example, purchasing one gun every 30 days, the courts have ruled that's unconstitutional. And yet here we are today, considering it again. Homemade guns, some people say ghost guns. These were the homemade guns that our founding fathers used to defeat the strongest army and navy in world history. They made their own guns back then. And as my good colleague already indicated, we have laws prohibiting these guns that are not detectable, supposedly, and they must have some component of steel within them. Additionally, the Brewing case came down in 2022 out of the state of New York. And in the Brewing case, the United States Supreme Court said that if you have a gun law before you that could have been regulated in the first 100 years of this nation, but our founding fathers chose not to do so, you cannot regulate it now. So if we have a statute that says you can only purchase one gun every 30 years, that situation was prevalent when our nation was founded. You cannot regulate it now. But seemingly, we do not listen to the rule of law. We do not listen to our courts. We simply have a knee-jerk reaction to a killing, a sad state of affairs. But 99.9% of the people of this nation follow the law. Those who do not, we have statutes to punish them. We do not need more statutes. As I said, we have statutes that can cover every single situation that this legislation that is before us today now proposes. It is time then to stop passing laws. It is time to be tough on those who violate the law. I believe then that this legislation will solve no problems other than, again, to stir the passions of our people. It will not solve the problems we face today. They're much deeper. We have problems in our home. We have problems in our schools. We have problems on our streets. And these are criminals who we already have laws that punish. They are not going to listen to these laws today. That is where law enforcement has to come into play, and it's a role that I played for 20 years. Our people need help, and we are addressing the wrong issues today. We need to address education. We need to address the strength of the family. We need to address the problems in our schools and on our streets. And until we do this, we will not solve this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Any additional comments on the bill? Representative Borowitz on the bill 1099.
Legislation. So, thank you, Chairman. And I might get up after this also, so.
And we'll keep you on House Bill 1099 today. Thank you.
No, I'll say my general comments. Thank you. The leftists are pushing an ideology to mutilate children, which is child abuse, telling them they are a different gender than how God made them, which is demonic. And they're pushing that, and yet they want to take away law-abiding gun owners' rights and ration them. That's not going to happen. Or register them, or take away their due process. What needs to happen in this nation, and I think Representative Bonner was getting there, is a walking away from evil that's being infiltrated in this nation on purpose. We need to return to God's word. We used to have guns in our schools, right? I talk to people in my district every day that said they would have their guns on their gun racks in their schools.
Can you just pause for 1 second? Anyone sitting there, you might want to start videoing this, because I don't have a rule against cameras, but I encourage everyone to video what's coming next.
Yeah, please do. Please do. There were no problems because guns aren't the problem. It's people's hearts. It's men's hearts. We need to teach. Do not murder, right? Again, do not steal. 10 Commandments need to be back in our schools. But this is on purpose to disarm Americans, to try and take every other God-given right away from us, like England. Look at England right now. They're being arrested for free speech because they lost their ability to arm themselves. Australia, Canada, we know the plan. We know the scheme. We've seen it from every tyrannical government. Americans aren't falling for it. And we're not only going to not fall for it, you're not going to take them from us. And you're not going to ration them. You're not going to make up, quote, red flag laws that negates due process. The most violence is committed in cities that have the strictest gun laws. Look at Chicago, that Donald Trump's going to have to go in and clean up. Look at Chicago. And sadly, mass shootings have been mostly committed by transgenders. Read the list of mass shootings and transgenders. I brought copies.
Point of order.
I brought
Point
copies.
of order.
I brought copies this morning of the list of the last mass shootings that have been from transgenders, sadly, in this nation. Enough is enough. Liberals' answer is more government control. The answer is Jesus. 300,000 people sat in an arena yesterday of a man that was brutally shot for standing up for truth. Brutally shot for standing up. And that was called hate speech by multiple representatives in this General Assembly, basically saying that he brought it on. Jesus is the only thing that brings peace, tranquility, justice. Crime rates go down when the Bible's read. And this nation was built upon it. Thomas Jefferson said, when a government fears the people, there is freedom. When the people fear the government, there is tyranny. The only way a government fears its people is an armed population that can overcome tyranny. I will say it again as I did last year and last session. Cain killed Abel with a rock. We don't have a gun problem, we have a sin problem in this nation.
Representative Rabb.
And I'll end with this. No, I'm not done yet, Mr. Chairman. John Adams said,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I don't think Representative Rapp has been acknowledged, and Representative Rapp is the one who has a comment out saying that Charlie Kirk was a bigot. So I'll finish what I was about to say. John Adams said, our Constitution was made
Mr. Chairman.
only for a moral and
appreciate the
religious
opportunity
people.
to speak.
It is
Representative Rabb,
wholly
one moment.
inadequate to the government of any other. This should be our turning point in this nation and a returning back to God's word.
Representative Rabb, you are in order. On the bill, House Bill 1099, Representative Rabb.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your indulgence. You are not in an easy position in light of the bigotry that's being spewed in our committee today. On the bill, I want to thank Representative Bonner for making a very salient point that laws alone or leading with bills will not address the endemic problem that we face around community violence. And to Representative Borowitz, who I don't agree with on anything, made a salient point as well, that if it's not a gun, it could be a rock. And that the violence that we're seeking to address through the legislature is born out of hatred and ignorance and unnecessary division. And there were references made to cities, which is a racially cloaked trope that I find deeply offensive, but no mention of Utah, where the violence happened between white Christian men, and people who are not from those communities are being blamed and targeted and threatened, including on Black colleges, hundreds or thousands of miles away from the site of this violence. And the cultural malignancy that allows this type of internal violence within communities that are not the demographics described in urban communities have to be addressed as well. And we should address our own issues in our own communities respectively, in addition to doing our job as legislators. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Rabb. Any additional comments? Seeing none, I want to echo a little bit what Representative Rabb said. You know, when Representative Bonner was closing, he mentioned a lot of things that I think we can work on together about education, about investing in our communities. But I also think this bill is important. It mirrors the Federal Gun Control Act, Section 922, that prohibits firearms constructed of non-metal substances. The benefit of establishing a state-level prohibition is that it provides local and state law enforcement and prosecutors the opportunity to enforce the prohibition. It's important to give our local law enforcement the tools they need to protect themselves and the public. So with that, I encourage all members to be voting yes. Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairman Briggs?
Yes.
Representatives Carroll,
Designation yes.
Donahue,
Designation,
Hanbidge,
designation yes.
Hohenstein,
Designation yes.
Howard,
Designation yes.
Kenyatta,
Designation yes.
Kincaid, Mays,
Designation yes.
Miller,
Designation yes.
Pielli,
Designation yes.
Rab,
Designation yes.
Sanchez,
Designation yes.
Schusterman,
Designation yes.
Chairman Kaufman,
No.
Representatives Bonner, Borowitz, Ecker, Ham, Kale,
Designation no.
Kerwin, Clunk, Kuzma,
Designation no.
Ledbetter, Rigby,
Designation no.
Shalaba. Mr. Chairman, this bill passes a vote of 14 to 12.
Thank you. House Bill 1099 passes and will be reported as committee. Congratulations and thank you for hard work, Representative Cephas. Next on the agenda, the chair calls up House Bill 1593 by Representative Warren. The chair will recognize Representative Warren, Chairman Warren, former member of the committee, now powerful chairman of the Insurance Committee, for remarks on the bill. Representative, you are in order.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you for calling this bill up for a vote today. As I am a former member of the committee, this bill passed 2 years ago in similar form on this committee when I had a vote. I don't have a vote today. I would respectfully request an affirmative vote from my colleagues. And the bill also passed 2 years ago before the full House, and I hope to see it move forward. In the event that the amendment number A01733 is not withdrawn, I would respectfully request a no vote. And in the unlikely event that that amendment were to pass, then I would request a no vote on the bill as amended. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Great. Thank you, Chairman Warren. Council Vitale, any description on the bill?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 1593 repeals the exemption for background checks for the transfer of long guns. This bill will require background checks for all guns, regardless of the length of the barrel. Mr. Chairman, it is a felony of the third degree under Pennsylvania law to sell or transfer a firearm to a person known to be prohibited from possessing a firearm, as well as it's a federal crime to sell or transfer a firearm to a person while knowing or having reasonable cause to believe that such person is prohibited from possessing a firearm. The bill takes effect in 60 days. There is one amendment filed by Chairman Kaufman.
Council, please provide a brief description of Amendment 1733.
Mr. Chairman, House Bill 01733 guts and replaces the bill with a repeal of the Uniform Firearms Act, requirement that a license to carry a concealed firearm. It lowers the age to carry a concealed firearm from 21 to 18, creates an optional license to carry, and allows for the open carry of firearm, rifles, or shotguns on the streets. This amendment would allow any individual to carry a hidden, unlicensed firearm with them in public, at playgrounds, universities, grocery stores, churches, and synagogues, without anyone knowing until the firearm is being used or displayed, which may be too late for others to defend themselves. This amendment would enable anyone, anywhere, to carry a concealed firearm with impunity and is guaranteed to make our law enforcement officers less safe and more likely to be gunned down in a line of duty. The amendment takes effect in 60 days.
Thank you, Council. Will the committee agree to the amendment? Chairman Kaufman, on your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This amendment, A01733, would seek to make Pennsylvania a constitutional carry state. Requiring a permit to carry a firearm itself infringes on the constitutional rights of all Pennsylvanians, both under the U.S. Constitution and the state constitution. The Second Amendment is a fundamental right, and just like you don't need a permit to speak freely or go to church, you shouldn't need one to carry a firearm. Criminals will carry guns regardless of permits. So law-abiding citizens should be able to do the same to protect themselves. Any restriction of firearms is a clear violation of both our U.S. and our Pennsylvania constitutions. I see us going through the exercise of passing out bills to restrict our constitutional right to bear arms. They go out of this committee, but many of them never see the light of day on the House floor, and they certainly don't get through the Pennsylvania Senate. They don't get to the governor's desk. This amendment actually got to the governor's desk. As I was chairman of this committee in 2021, we started the effort to make Pennsylvania a constitutional carry state. It got all the way to the governor's desk. It wasn't just an exercise, but we got it all the way to the governor's desk. While he vetoed it, I say this bill and this issue has a significant merit, and I encourage you to vote yes to support law-abiding citizens and their ability to carry here in Pennsylvania. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Any other comments on the amendment? I encourage all the members to vote no. Secretary, please call the roll on the amendment.
Chairman Briggs,
No.
Representatives Carroll,
Designation no.
Donahue, Hambidge,
Designation no.
Hohenstein,
Designation no.
Howard,
Designation no.
Kenyatta,
Designation no.
Kincaid, Mays,
Designation no.
Miller,
Designation no.
Pielli,
Designation no.
Rab,
Designation no.
Sanchez,
Designation no.
Schusterman,
Designation no.
Chairman Kaufman,
Yes.
Representatives Bonner, Borowitz, Ecker, Ham, Kale,
Designation yes.
Kerwin, Clunk, Kuzma,
Designation yes.
Ledbetter, Rigby,
Designation yes.
Shalaba. This amendment fails, a vote of 14 to 12.
Thank you. The amendment fails. Secretary, do a roll call right on the bill, please.
Chairman Briggs,
Yes.
Representatives Carroll,
Designation yes.
Donahue, Hanbidge,
Designation yes.
Hohenstein,
Designation yes.
Howard,
Designation yes.
Kenyatta,
Designation yes.
Kincaid, Mays,
Designation yes.
Miller,
Designation yes.
Pielli,
Designation yes.
Rab,
Designation yes.
Sanchez,
Designation yes.
Schusterman,
Designation yes.
Chairman Kaufman,
No.
Representatives Bonner, Borowitz, Ecker, Ham, Kale,
Designation no.
Kerwin, Clunk, Kuzma,
Designation no.
Ledbetter, Rigby,
Designation no.
Shalaba. This bill passes, a vote of 14 to 12.
Thank you, Secretary. House Bill 1593 passes and will be reported as committed. Congratulations, Chairman Warren, and good luck on the floor.
Thank you. Thank you to the committee.
Next on the agenda is House Bill 1613 by Representative Hanbidge, who is online. You still there? Oh, yep, there you are. I'm sorry. The chair will recognize Representative Hanbidge for some remarks on her bill, and then we will go to council. Representative, you're in order.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 1613 creates a greater level of protection for children who are being interrogated, and it creates better protections for our judicial system and officers involved in these cases. We know through research that children lack the maturity, the emotional maturity, mental maturity, behavior, and decision-making skills of adults, and that sometimes this leads to waiving their rights prematurely or false confessions. And this is a very proactive bill to ensure the rights of children and secure our judicial system and our judiciary.
Thank you, Representative. Council Vitale.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 1613 establishes the Child Interrogation Protections Act to increase protections for juveniles in custodial interrogations. Specifically, the bill requires law enforcement to notify the parents of a child when the child is taken into custody. The parents are entitled to know the location of their child and the reason why their child is being detained. The parent must be provided with instructions how to make immediate in-person contact with the child. The bill prohibits a custodial interrogation of the child until the child has consulted with an attorney and the parents have been notified and told the child will be interrogated. The requirement of counsel may not be waived. Law enforcement must document the notification or attempts to notify the parents. Law enforcement may conduct a custodial interrogation of a child without counsel or without parental notification if they reasonably believe the information sought is necessary to protect against an imminent threat to public safety, and the questions posed to the child are limited to those reasonably necessary to obtain the information to protect against the imminent public threat. The bill takes effect in 60 days. There are no amendments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council. The question is, will the committee report the bill, House Bill 1613? Are there any comments on the bill? Seeing none, it's a great bill. Representative Hambridge, you put a lot of work in this over the years. I do know the administration has requested an opportunity to engage in conversations regarding and amend it. They have not provided language yet, but I do anticipate you and I and them getting together on this. Secretary, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairman Briggs?
Yes.
Representatives Carroll,
Designation yes.
Donahue, Hambidge,
Designation yes.
Hohenstein,
Designation yes.
Howard,
Designation yes.
Kenyatta,
Designation yes.
Kincaid, Mays,
Designation yes.
Miller,
Designation yes.
PLE,
Designation yes.
Rab,
Designation yes.
Sanchez,
Designation yes.
Schusterman,
Designation yes.
Chairman Kaufman,
No.
Representatives Bonner, Borowitz, Ecker, Ham, Kale,
Designation no.
Kerwin, Clunk, Kuzma,
Designation no.
Ledbetter, Rigby,
Designation no.
Shalaba. Mr. Chairman, this bill passes a vote of 14 to 12.
Thank you, Secretary. House Bill 1613 passes and will be reported as committed. Next on the agenda is House Bill 1722 by our colleague on the committee, Representative Rigby. Council Vitale, please, please provide a brief description of House Bill 1722.
Mr. Chairman, House Bill 1722 by Representative Rigby amends the Public Officials Compensation Law to make the salary of the State Police Commissioner the same as the Secretary of Corrections. The bill takes effect in 60 days. There are no amendments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council. The question is, will the committee report the bill, House Bill 1722? Are there any comments on the bill? Are there any negative vote? Representative Bonner, you are in order on House Bill 1722.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will vote in favor of the bill today to move it along to the floor, but I do have a question about the appropriateness of tying one individual's salary to another individual's salary. I think the individual who is being considered for a salary establishment should stand on his or her own merits and not be tied into another position within state government. So I'm sure there'll be a further explanation as to that particular pathway, but philosophically, I think every state official should have an independent determination and evaluation of their salary, and look forward to further discussion of this matter going forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative. I would encourage you to speak to Representative Rigby. My understanding, I don't have it in front of me, but all the cabinet secretaries are categorized based on size of their departments and have similar salaries, and I believe that is where this is being addressed to make some consistency on the jobs. But I don't want to advocate for Representative Rigby's bill without I never actually talked to him about it other than letting him know we were doing this. Any other comments or questions? Are there no votes on this? Any no votes? Seeing none, if the secretary could report this as passing unanimously. House Bill 1722 passes and will be reported as committed. Thank you, Secretary. Next on the agenda is House Bill 1859 by Representative O'Mara. Representative O'Mara has childcare issues that surfaced this morning with an ill child, infant, and she is not able to join us unless she, no. But we, Council, please provide a description of House Bill 1859.
Mr. Chairman, House Bill 1859 by Representative O'Mara creates an extreme risk protection order to temporarily prohibit persons who are at substantial risk of suicide or causing death or serious bodily injury to another from possessing a firearm. Law enforcement, family, or household members may request an extreme risk protection order. The petition must be verified, including facts that show the need. Relevant facts to be included in the petition are things like the person made threats or attempt to commit suicide, made threats or attempts to commit violence, or they were recklessly displaying or brandishing a firearm. The petition must also describe the number, type, and location of known firearms. The court may issue a temporary ERPO or dismiss the petition altogether, but will need to schedule a hearing within 3 and 10 days. The standard of proof for a temporary extreme risk protection order is a preponderance of the evidence. The standard of proof at an ERPO hearing is clear and convincing evidence. A court will only issue an order if it finds the person presents a danger of suicide or causing serious bodily injury to another, and it shall issue an ERPO along with a warrant to search for and take possession of any firearm or concealed carry license in the respondent's possession or control. An order entered after a hearing shall be in effect no fewer than 3 months and no longer than 1 year from the date of the order. Firearms may be relinquished to law enforcement or a firearms dealer. Once an order expires or is terminated, a person has the right to get their firearms back as soon as possible. A person may request a termination hearing at any time. A feature we included in the bill that is currently not available in other statutes is we provide a person with a right to counsel in the ERPO process. Last thing, if someone uses the process as for an improper purpose, such as harassment, they are subject to a third-degree felony, and upon conviction will be ordered to pay full restitution, including attorney's fees and all costs incurred by the person they made the false report against. The bill takes effect in 90 days, and there are no amendments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council. Are there any, the question is, will the committee report the bill? Are there any comments on the bill? Representative Borowitz on the bill. 1859.
Thank you, Chairman. Let's explain how this bill would work. Someone gets reported, the police show up, you lose all of your firearms, and then you have a trial. That's not how it works in America, just so all of you guys know that are trying to enact this bill as a law. In America, we are innocent until proven guilty. It is called due process, the Fifth Amendment. Red flag laws violate that right in your Fifth Amendment. Advocates know that and push for it anyway because they don't care about the Constitution or our republic. This is unconstitutional in Pennsylvania. It says that it shall not even be questioned. Gun control has nothing to do with public safety. What it really is an attempt by the left to disarm their political opposition. None of the bills today will ever save a single innocent life because criminals don't obey laws, and everyone knows that. Again, in the General Assembly, if we wanted to save innocent lives, they would work to put God and the Bible back into our schools and restore the nuclear family. And I will end and say that our duty as state representatives, our job as representatives is to protect and secure the rights given to us in the Pennsylvania Constitution and the Constitution of the United States. That is literally our job, right? Our job is to protect the rights, not given to us by the Constitution, they're given to us by God, right? And the Constitution is there to protect them. And that is our job as state representatives. And so this goes against that and actually is unconstitutional. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Any other comments on House Bill 1859? Representative Ledbetter, you are recognized on House Bill 1859.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank the gentlelady from Delaware County for bringing forward her piece of legislation to be considered by this committee today. Again, in the spirit of free speech and dialogue and open debate exercised here within the Commonwealth and within the United States, the gentlelady and I disagree on this point of policy. There is a need for due process in the United States. And Mr. Chairman, the irony, as one of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle mentioned remotely in reference to prior bills, also strikes me here with this one, when we just moments ago considered a bill that would collaborate with eligible offenders upon release and making things easier upon that point. We're now considering a piece of legislation that would classify someone as guilty before proven innocent. This bill would allow police or an angry ex to convene a secret star chamber hearing with only one party before a judge, not having to demonstrate that the individual committed any crime or any chance of committing one. All they have to do is show that they're subjectively dangerous according to the incredibly low preponderance of evidence standard. This violation of our due process rights, Mr. Chairman, strips the individual of not just their Second Amendment, but also the Fourth, Fifth, and 14th Amendment rights that they hold as citizens within this nation. It's also something that the gentlelady could consider as possibly unnecessary, since Pennsylvania already has an involuntary mental health commitment under Section 302 of the Mental Health Procedures Act. There are also laws against stalking and terrorist threats, where those who make threats can be arrested. As members of this committee, it's no surprise to any of us that judges will typically err on the side of caution and grant this order in states where laws like this are enacted. And hearings in 10 days to get your rights back, that is a point of delay that is unacceptable. In addition to those who are in low economic status within this Commonwealth having to then spend thousands of dollars on attorney fees or lean into the capacity for a public defender. Mr. Chairman, I'll conclude my point with that both Pennsylvania and Rhode Island ACLU branches, who again disagree with me on many things, had concerns about red flag laws at a certain point in time. Mr. Chairman, this proposal is dangerous in my opinion for both police and citizens. As a brother of a police officer, no law enforcement officer wishes to take a life. And yet, just over our state border in Maryland, Ferndale, Maryland, Gary Willis, a 60-year-old black man, got red flagged, and police showed up at his door at 5:17 a.m. in the morning because a family member had reported him. Mr. Willis went to the door with his gun and was shot to death. Mr. Chairman, I would ask my colleagues to consider alternatives to address the concerns that they may have. Protect due process within the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and vote no on House Bill 1859. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative. Any additional comments? Anything before Chairman Kaufman? Representative Kincaid.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to address kind of, we've had broad conversations about gun safety laws, and we continue to reference the First Amendment. And I think that it's important to note that there are very explicit restrictions on the First Amendment through a multitude of case law from the Supreme Court. Obscenity, fraud, child pornography, speech for the purpose of illegal conduct, incitement of lawless action, violation of intellectual property law, terroristic threats, commercial speech, defamation, libel, slander, including false factual connotation and misrepresentation. All of those things can be punished under the law because they are not protected by the First Amendment. In District of Columbia v. Heller, Justice Scalia wrote that majority opinion and specifically stated that the Second Amendment right to bear arms is not unlimited. The right does not grant the ability to possess any weapon whatsoever in any manner whatsoever and for whatever purpose. Scalia further explained that the Heller decision should not be interpreted as casting doubt on longstanding prohibitions, which, to the prior speaker's point, includes against felons possessing firearms. This legislation is founded in constitutionality. The Supreme Court in the United States v. Rahimi reaffirmed that the Second Amendment protects law-abiding, responsible citizens, but not those found to pose a credible threat. In applying the Bruin test, the court identified historical analogs where legislatures who restricted firearms from individuals deemed dangerous to public safety was an acceptable application. The courts reasoned that in Rahimi, ERPOs create a clear constitutional pathway for laws that can prevent violence while respecting the Second Amendment. This bill is constitutional, and no right under the Constitution is unlimited. We are responsible as the government to do both, to say we are protecting your rights, but also your right to do harm to other people is not protected under any constitutional amendment. And we continuously talk about 302, but the simple fact of the matter is that 302 does not go far enough when it comes to addressing people who would commit harm. To say that 302 is sufficient is to say that the only people who use guns to harm other people in this way are people who have severe mental illness. And the simple fact of the matter is that people who have severe mental illness are far more likely to die as a result of gun violence instead of commit it. More often than not, the people who are committing violent acts are people who are committing domestic violence, people who are stalking. These are people who demonstrate a clear threat to the people around them or to themselves, because this is the other thing, is that this also protects people from harming themselves. And when people are concerned that their loved ones are going to harm themselves, they want to do something to help. And 302 does not necessarily always guarantee that someone will actually get the help that they need for a mental health crisis. So we are creating a system that allows people to get the help that they need without committing an atrocious and unfixable act. It saves lives. And that is a government responsibility too, to save lives. So we have a government interest, a legitimate government interest in protecting the lives of our citizens and our constituents and the people who live in Pennsylvania. And if we do nothing, then we are failing in that plan. That is what government was created to do, to serve the people. And it is not just to protect one right regardless of the impact that it has on other people. ERPO laws work. They protect people. They ensure that people can get help. They ensure that people can get out of unsafe situations alive. And that matters. This is absolutely protected under the Constitution. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative. Chairman Kaufman, before we go to roll call.
Thank you very much. I feel like I need to start by referring back to something my colleague referred to, because I saw some roll eyes and scowling, but we are certainly, most certainly, endowed by our Creator, our God, with certain unalienable rights. If you If you don't believe that, go read the preamble to our Constitution. Our constitutions also refer to the Second Amendment, our right to bear arms here in Pennsylvania, shall not be infringed, shall not be questioned. Seems pretty explicit to me. It's concerning that we want to continuously go here when the RAND Corporation, as recently as 2024, noted that states with ERPOs, red flag laws, saw no difference in the deaths by suicide, murder. It was absolutely undetectable. We're in a society where we call good evil and evil good. We don't properly call out mental issues, and then we call those who have differing opinions out for mental issues that they don't have. We have government weaponized against its citizens. We have citizens weaponized against one another. And I believe that our citizens don't want anything to do with red flag laws here in Pennsylvania. We do have the 302 mental health commitment process that some folks may think it's difficult. It is intentionally difficult. It is intentionally difficult to remove someone's Second Amendment right. Shall not be infringed, shall not be questioned. So today and every day here in this Judiciary Committee, I'm going to stand against these unconstitutional laws that attempt to take away the Second Amendment rights of our citizens. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairman Briggs?
Yes.
Representatives Carroll,
Designation, yes.
Donahue, Ambidge,
Designation, yes.
Hohenstein,
Designation, yes.
Howard,
Designation, yes.
Kenyatta,
Designation, yes.
Kincaid, Mays,
Designation, yes.
Miller,
Designation, yes.
Pielli,
Designation, yes.
Rabb,
Designation, yes.
Sanchez,
Designation, yes.
Schusterman,
Designation, yes.
Chairman Kaufman,
No.
Representatives Bonner, Borowitz, Ecker, Ham, Kale,
Designation, no.
Kerwin, Clunk, Kuzma,
Designation, no.
Ledbetter, Rigby,
Designation, no.
Shalaba. This bill passes a vote of 14 to 12.
Thank you, Secretary. House Bill 1859 passes and will be reported as committed. Next on the agenda is House Bill 1866, co-primed by Representative Steele and Sanchez. I will recognize Representative Steele, who has joined us via Teams, for some brief remarks on the bill. You're in order, Representative Steele.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Committee. For the record, I am a gun owner, and I believe that this bill is respectful of the Second Amendment. I am sponsoring this bill in honor of the family of fallen Police Chief Justin McIntyre, who was a dedicated and beloved public servant in his hometown of Brackenridge Borough, a community that I have the honor of representing. In January of 2023, he was tragically killed in the line of duty. His surviving family wants these senseless, Lego-sized gun conversion devices, which can turn a Glock into a machine gun, off the streets. And so does every police chief that I represent, and I represent a lot of police chiefs. Our police will be safer and their jobs will be easier if we reinforce this existing federal law at state level with this bill. 16 blue states and 11 red states have already passed a law like this for the safety and well-being of our police. I hope that Pennsylvania will as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Representative Steele. Council, please provide a brief description of the bill.
Mr. Chairman, House Bill 866 makes a clarification in Uniform Firearms Act that machine gun conversion devices are prohibited offensive weapons within the Commonwealth. These same devices are prohibited under federal law because they are designated machine guns, and they may not be possessed or transferred. The bill borrows the definition of machine gun conversion devices from federal law and inserts these devices under the definition of unlawful offensive weapons in 908 of Title 18. This bill is narrowly tailored and will protect our law enforcement officers that put their lives on the line every day to keep our communities safe. Within 10 days of the bill being signed by the governor, the Attorney General shall transmit notice describing in detail the contents of this act to the Legislative Reference Bureau for publication in the Pennsylvania Bulletin. The remainder of the act takes effect in 30 days after publication in the Pennsylvania Bulletin. There are no amendments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council. The question is, will the committee report the bill, House Bill 1866? Are there any comments on the bill? Representative Ledbetter, you will be recognized on House Bill 1866.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Once again, I will thank my colleague, the good lady from Allegheny County, for bringing forward today House Bill 1866 for consideration at this committee. As the good lady mentioned, this legislation makes something triply illegal. Glock switches and other machine gun conversion devices are already classified as machine guns under federal law. Possession of these devices are already prohibited with only a very limited exception. These devices are already prohibited and classified as offensive weapons. There is no National Firearms Act exemption for these devices for ordinary citizens, which would include the members, residents, and folks that call the Commonwealth home. Making these devices triply illegal, I cannot see the intent beyond virtue signaling, but in respect for my colleagues, would be happy to have a discussion. In my assessment and evaluation of the language within the bill, it will do absolutely nothing to prevent criminals from obtaining them because criminals don't follow the law. Criminals are already willing to violate both state and federal law by possessing these devices, acquiring these devices, and using these devices. And adding another law will simply not deter them. I would urge a no vote on House Bill 1866. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative. Any additional comments on the bill? Representative Kincaid on House Bill 1866.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. By the logic of the previous speaker, I'm not really sure why the legislature exists, because it seems like if we have any laws, they are superfluous. I've been here, this is my 5th year in office, and we have created so many crimes and passed so many laws that have mirrored or copied other statutes that at the federal level, in the state, and yet these arguments were never made about how under those laws we couldn't possibly pass those because criminals would not listen to those laws. It seems to only come up when it comes to gun violence prevention. So it's either that we provide more tools in the toolbox to our prosecutors to address issues in society, or we just shouldn't have any laws at all because nothing will ever work if we can't address it 100%. No law is perfect. No law is going to capture 100% of things. That's why we put penalties into law. But something needs to be done about gun violence, and this is a very small, common sense thing where we are codifying federal law into state law so that we at the state level can provide our prosecutors and our attorney general with the tools that they need in order to be able to prosecute things better at the state level and not have to rely on the federal level to address these things. It just seems like common sense to me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative. Chairman Kaufman, before we go to roll call, you're in order.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate all the Republican members' attendance and attention to this meeting today. I have some great members, and they've all been engaged and present here in the building, and I thank you for your attention to this important issue. I want to move to this bill in itself, and I do want to note that it would seem to me that this bill would be discriminatory in the fact that many of the products that would become illegal under this bill, such as bump stocks, trigger cranks, and bite triggers, are utilized by individuals with disabilities. So we're going to limit those who have disabilities from utilizing firearms and their Second Amendment rights. So here we go again, but we'll be a no on that.
Okay. Yep. Thank you. Before we go to roll call, I just want to say that the District Attorneys Association has been actively advocating for this bill. We got a letter from Glock Incorporated supporting this bill, several other advocacy groups. So I encourage a yes vote. Secretary, please call the roll. All the Democrats will be yes.
Chairman.
All the Republicans will be no.
Okay, thank you. This bill
House
passes.
bill passes 1866 and will be reported as committed. Thank you, Secretary. Right. Next on the agenda is House Resolution 165 by Representative Daley. Representative Daley is unable to join us in person or Teams. Council, please provide a brief description of the resolution.
Mr. Chairman, House Resolution 165 by Representative Mary Jo Daley directs the Joint State Government Commission to conduct a study and issue a report on the status of the pretrial detention practices and pretrial detainee populations in Pennsylvania. The report is due no later than 1 year after adoption. There are no amendments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Question is, will the committee report the resolution, House Resolution 165? Are there any comments on the resolution? Are there any negative votes on the resolution?
What's that?
Secretary, please call the roll. All the Democrats will be yes.
Chairman Kaufman,
No.
Representatives Bonner, Borowitz, Ecker, Ham, Kale,
Designation no.
Kerwin, Clunk, Kuzma,
Designation no.
Ledbetter, Rigby,
Designation no.
Shalaba. This resolution passes a vote of 14 to 12.
Thank you. House Resolution 165 passes and will be reported as committed. Last on today's agenda is House Resolution 279 by Representatives Delosier and Hill Evans. I see Representative Delosier has joined us, former member of the committee.
Yeah.
The chair will recognize the representative if Chair Hill Evans is here.
I didn't see her.
Add some comments after, but Representative, you are in order.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did not see Representative Hill Evans, so on her behalf, I'm offering some words. And thank you to both Chairman Briggs and Kaufman. It's an honor to join my colleague, Representative Carol Hill Evans, in sponsoring House Resolution 279 to recognize October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Pennsylvania and bring attention to the issue. We've had a lot of big issues here today. This is something that we bring up every year as an education, as many resolutions do, to draw awareness to a very important issue that we have within our communities. We have, just like I bring up many bills that deal with domestic violence, my House Bill 1419 is another dealing with the issue of repetitive issues dealing with PFAs.
But just this past week, we've seen the tragic consequences of domestic violence in the Harrisburg area, where a man who had stalked and abused his prior wives killed his current wife in Perry County, and just a short drive north of the Capitol earlier this week. Then came the midweek ambush of law enforcement officers from York County that was mentioned earlier with a moment of silence, who were searching for a man that was stalking his ex-girlfriend. And tragically, three Northern York regional officers lost their lives because of trying to do their job, and 2 others were severely injured. As the wife of a former police officer, I know domestic violence calls are the most dangerous calls for police officers. Unfortunately, these aren't isolated incidents, and in 2024, 104 people were killed in Pennsylvania because perpetrators turned on a family member or former partner. The abuser was supposed to be the person that loved them the most. He or she was supposed to be there in good times and bad, and this is a person that they never should have feared, but in the end, they took their life. The victims were all ages, races, and incomes, and education levels, and they were all from all over the Commonwealth. But each of these victims are more than a statistic. They were mothers, fathers, daughters, and they were sons and friends. They each were valued parts of our communities, and with this resolution, we hope to further the public awareness about this issue. It does not matter where you live, who you are, what happens behind closed doors. The most hateful scourge of domestic violence must stop. During the month of October, a red silhouette, which is part of the Silent Witness Initiative, will stand in our Capitol Rotunda to help bring attention to domestic violence. And I urge all of you to take the time to read about what this project does and bring awareness to the fact of those that we have lost due to domestic violence. No one should think that they are alone or feel that they have to face the demons alone. And there's help out there for many of those that are suffering from being a victim of domestic violence. The resources and people willing to help to be the support a victim needs to stay strong and to get their life back when they have lost and been taken and feel that they are that victim within a household. I'm hoping the resolution can send some strong messages that Pennsylvania will not tolerate this type of activity. There is much more to do, and it is up to us to keep pushing and fighting for the victims and to be their voice when they cannot be that voice, and let them know that there are resources and people willing to help. It's imperative that we can continue to raise consciousness and change public perception. No one deserves to be a victim of domestic violence, and I appreciate the chairman's willingness to take this up so that we can have it in time for October. So thank you very much for the time, and I ask for a yes vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Representative Delosier. The question is, will the committee report the resolution, House Resolution 279? Are there any comments on the resolution? You always have to ask, are there any negative votes on the resolution? I wish I thought that was. So seeing none, I thank you, Representative. We did want to move this out in advance of October to try to give you an opportunity to bring this attention to the whole floor. The Secretary could please report a unanimous vote on House Resolution 279. Thank you for joining us, Representative. Before we adjourn, this was a big meeting, and I just want to thank all the members for being engaged and considerate during your remarks, mostly. These are challenging topics, but I think we handled ourselves well. And just closing comments, anyone watching the game last night, Birds, go Birds, finished strong, just like we did, right? We had a tough couple votes, but then we finished bipartisan and were able to end on a good note. But it was a good day, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.